Oh, hey, what's going on? 66 Hell right here. Yep, it's been a week that I've been in this room since I've had my surgery done, and been in this hospital for 2 weeks now. 2 weeks in a day, actually. And it's 2:15 in the morning. I can't sleep, and I got a lot on my mind, so I wanted to record this video and share the experience that I had. I talked to a couple people about it, and they were kind of interested in what had happened to me, and even had some strangers, what used to be strangers, asked me about my experience and shared their experiences with me. And so I think it would be pretty neat maybe if I put a little video together about what happened to me. And I'll try to make it short and simple and to the point. Now I'll probably stumble all over myself trying to keep all the facts in order as they happen. But here we go. When I was laying in the OR before the operation, they were explaining to me what they were going to do. And the first thing that they explained to me was they're going to give me an epidural, which is a pain spinal block, and you have to lay real still for it. That's about all I know about spinal tap or whatever. Um, Epidural. And told me the rest of the surgery, what they're going to go in and rough up the lining of my lung so that it will stick to the wall of my lung, the pleurodesis. They're going to scruff all that up and get it to stick so that when they inflated the lung, it would have something to stick to, because it had been collapsed so long that it built like a shine on it, and it had nothing to expand. When it expanded, it had nothing to stick to, and it won't stay inflated by itself that way. And they tore out a piece of my lung. I forget the size that they told me, but probably about half the size of a sandwich, and they stapled up the holes. Now, in the meantime, basically I was having this hole fixed in my lung and being replaced by a bunch of small ones because of the staples. So a couple of days ago, I had a setback, and my lung has not collapsed anymore, but it won't stay inflated on its own without suction. So they've got me hooked up to suction, then they switch it off to a water seal, then they'll go back to suction, water seal, and it's still not going back the way it's supposed to. But they're very confident that it's going to. It's just going to take a little bit longer. Your lungs are pretty tricky and pretty strong, but they're also pretty fragile at the same time. Anyway, they did the epidural on me, and when I'm laying there getting the anesthetic, I don't recall the epidural at all. They told me they were going to roll me onto my side, and that's all I remember. The first memory that I have after laying on the operating table after the surgery was them pulling me out of surgery. Now, I felt the bumps down the hallway, and they put me in the post-op room to recover. Well, whenever they first got me in there, the epidural medicine or whatever it was caused me to crash. And at first I thought I was gone for 5 minutes, but turns out they said I was gone for just 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And I'd actually coded, and they did chest compressions on me. But while I was out, I remember I was outdoors, and I was standing in front of my dad, who I buried on my 25th birthday in 1995. I'm standing there holding hands with him. There was no emotion between us. There was no joy. There was no fear. There was no tears. There was no anything. I was aware that I was outside, but I couldn't tell you if it was daytime or nighttime. I couldn't tell you if it was at a ballpark or on the moon. I don't remember where it was. But we're standing there staring at each other, and we're both standing and holding hands. And it seemed like forever that we were standing there just holding hands, and there was patience. That's, I guess, the only emotion that I would be able to categorize anywhere was just patience. I felt comfortable where I was at. And I had a memory of somebody yelling at me, and it was Monty, my OR nurse, yelling, "Jason, Jason, I need you to breathe, buddy. I need you to breathe." And they said some other words I can't remember, and then I felt them doing chest compressions on me. I tried to open my eyes, and all I saw was pure white. Now the clarity of the nurse's voice was clear. Monty's was clear when I'd opened my eyes, but all I saw was pure white. So I closed my eyes, and I'm still standing there talking to my dad, or looking at my dad. And I kept hearing Monty, so I tried to open my eyes again. I could feel him doing chest compressions on me. I could feel me moving. I didn't feel any discomfort. I didn't feel any pain whatsoever. I kept closing my eyes, and there's my dad standing there holding my hands. Finally, I opened my eyes, and I start seeing the silhouette of Monty, my OR nurse. He's kind of a big, burly guy with a loud indoor voice. And I remember thinking to myself, even whenever we were doing pre-op, I've got ALS. I'm not deaf, and I can hear you fine. Um, anyway, finally I got his voice, and I could see an outline of him. And I went back out again. I remember standing there just staring at my dad, and I grabbed his hands really, really tight, and I'm holding on to him, and he lets go of my hands. And he turns around to walk away, and I'm still standing there, and I'm just looking at him. And he turns around and he walks away. There was no smile, no tears, anything. He just turned and he walked away from me. So I opened my eyes again, and when I opened them this time, I could see Monty really clear. And my chest hurt, from doing the compressions on me, plus the surgery, plus it was numb, and it felt like there was like 80 pounds wrapped around my chest. And finally I came back to, and I couldn't talk because I had a sore throat because they had me intubated. They had the tube down my throat. Well, that's when I told Monty, I was like, man, did I just die? He said, no, you're here with us. He says, you almost went out on us. He says, but we did chest compressions and brought you back, and you responded, and you're breathing on your own, but your blood pressure was down to 30, and your heart rate was non-existent, and you turning blue, and your lips were turning white, and you were just about gone, buddy. We almost lost you. So that's when all the emotions hit me, and I'm laying there, and they got me regulated or stabilized, and put some oxygen on me, and they left me in the room for a minute, and it hit me like a wall of what I had just experienced. All the emotions and everything I've ever felt in my life had just happened to me, and I'm trying to process this as my dad. My first thought was, I got to see my dad. I got to see my dad, and it was a beautiful feeling because there was no pain, there was no hurt. And I'm pretty sure that if it was real reality, that I would feel a lot of horrible emotions for my dad because I was scared for him. I was upset with him. But at least I did get to see him for what I believed was an afterlife experience, and that I died on the operating table right after the surgery was over with. I'm not one to preach religion or faith in the Lord. I have strong beliefs, and that's two things I really don't want to talk about on my YouTube channel, is politics and religion, mostly because I'm not real educated in either one. But I just wanted to say that I did have a out-of-body experience, and I felt very close to the Lord during that time. It hasn't changed me, it hasn't changed my life or who I am, but it sure made me say thank you for letting me see my dad again, because it was so vivid and he was so much there. I can't explain it. He was there, and I did get to see him, and it was the best time that I ever got to see him because there was no emotion, there was no pain he was feeling, there was no hurt, there was no confusion, there was no anger, anything. So it was probably the best time that I ever had with my dad, because in all reality I only knew him for 3 years. I met him when I was 22 and buried him on my 25th birthday. His death saved my life because I was headed down a terrible downward spiral, messing with drugs and alcohol. My daughter was 2, and my son was 3 months old when my dad died. All of this is part of a life lesson to me. Maybe some people it's something different, but my dad's death saved my life, and I got to stand there and see him once again, and it was really awesome. I just wanted to share this experience with you guys. and say thank you for every one of you being in my life, on whatever capacity you're in my life, whether you're a close friend to me in person, or whether you're somebody that I just communicate with on YouTube. You're all significant to me, and I'm blessed to have you in my life. Now, I'm completely sober. I'm not high on drugs or any pain pills or anything like that. I do have my green pain button, but they got me on a low dosage of that, and all it's doing is just really taking the edge off of the pain in my chest from the chest tube. So there'll be some updates here coming up about my health and what have you. Here today I talked to the surgeon again, and they're going to make a plan of attack on getting this chest tube out. But I just want to say thanks again to everybody for your subscription and for your positive comments and blessings and prayers and voodoo that are throwing that to me. But thanks again, and we'll see you guys again really, really soon.